Hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. For tonight's podcast episode, Charlie and I are actually going to be doing a spoiler review for Denzel Washington's new movie, The Little Things. So if you haven't seen The Little Things, if you're not interested in the Little Things, if you don't mind spoilers, go on ahead and just join us in the chat and everything. If you haven't seen this movie, I advise you to check this movie out first before you go ahead and watch this video, especially if you're doing this watching us during the live feed. Now, if you don't mind it, we're gonna go on ahead and spoil the heck out of this movie. So, without further ado, I really have to say this was actually one of those movies that was actually on my anticipated movie watch list after I saw the trailer, and I'm not going to get into the trailer at all or anything like that since I'm actually going to be talking about this movie again with Frenchie on Thursday. But I love Denzel Washington. I like Rami Malek. Jared Leto always does a good job playing certain roles and things like that too. So I was sold on that A-list thing. But I have to go with what Jeremy John said was it seems like they did a bunch of typecasting in certain areas, especially when you look at Jared Leto's character, whenever he starts being like really creepy and everything and really soft spoken. What do you think though? I mean, what's your thoughts on the casting choices?
Denzel is probably the best guy you could have gotten. Rami Malek, he was decent. He did what he had to. And I agree. Jared Leto's. That means he must be doing something right. If the fact that he's always playing creepy characters, he's just got that niche to him. He likes playing.
Right.
He's able to do this. But like I said, I think it's like everybody's focusing on those three characters because there's nobody else that's really in the movie that's going to be the selling point. And like for this movie, like to be honest, I would recommend not paying money to see this. If you can watch, if you have HBO Max, save yourself the 20 some bucks for the theater to be unfortunately disappointed, and just be disappointed at home so you don't have to drive anywhere.
Or you can just listen to this review, and therefore you don't even have to worry about watching this movie at all. But
That works too.
you can do one of the two. But this movie is about this guy named basically he's a deputy sheriff. His name is Joe Deacon, who's played by Denzel Washington, who joins forces with Sergeant Jim Baxter, who is played by which is played by Rami Malek's character, to search for a serial killer who is terrorizing Los Angeles. As they track the culprit, Baxter is unaware that the investigation is dredging up echoes of Deke's past, uncovering disturbing secrets that could threaten more than his case. Now, another thing though that I want to actually mention is this too. I love the opening scene where you see this girl, she's driving in the middle of nowhere, and we don't know exactly who she is or anything like that. This is actually set in the 1990s, so there's no cell phones, there's nothing like that, and no GPSs either. So the technology that we have now definitely does not work in the 1990s era or anything like that. So I'm actually happy that they actually did that. They actually set this in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And the opening scene alone, where this one girl, she's driving down this highway, this long desert looking highway in the middle of nowhere, and she's crying. And it seems she's very tense. She's very upset. And then when she thinks that she got away from the killer winds up letting her pass her and everything. The
Mm-hmm.
killer winds up passing the killer up, and next thing you know, the killer's right behind her. And before you know it, she's just trying to get this psycho off of her case and everything. And then next thing you know it, she winds up seeing this bar and this grill,
Mm-hmm.
and she's knocking on the door, trying to let people in, trying to see if anybody's in there. No one's in there or anything like that. And of course, the killer is still trying to search for her and stuff like that. She goes off into the desert, and at that point in time, that's when the killer winds up seeing her and wants to try and kill her. But then she flags down the 18-wheeler to actually pick
Yeah.
her up, and then that's where it actually cuts into Denzel Washington actually investigating everything.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the opening?
I thought the opening had me hooked. I was like, from the opening, I was trying to guess who this killer is to see if we have any clues of who might show up, and like, so we're like trying to figure this out. And like, it looked like a white guy that was the killer. So we're trying to figure that out, and then you didn't really get a good glimpse of his face, so they did a good job with that, trying to keep you guessing. in a sense of who the killer actually is, because this is supposed to be that movie, finding out who the serial killer is. And then I was always interested about if we ever got to see, like, specifically from that moment on, what really happened. Like, what type of guy picked her up? Was the guy that picked her up, was he working with the killer? Not. I mean, the opening scene had you hooked.
It definitely does. That's something that I have to actually say, that this film does wind up grabbing you right from the start. And it's a slow burn movie. And I don't mind slow burn movies as long as it actually leads up to something. And I'm going to get to we're going to talk about the ending later on. But then I like how Denzel comes in there, Deacon comes in there and investigating the bar. And the guy goes, I have to put up so much money a night to go ahead and put up the stakes, put out everything. And this happens. And it's supposed to be called Black Angus, but instead the sign is actually blinking Black Anus. And Denzel's like, not quite the appetite that I was expecting. But, I do like the little jokes that they actually had in that scene alone, because that's like the only time you actually see this movie having a kind of a joke in this movie. There's no, other than that, this movie is 100% serious. There's no way denying that. Especially the tone.
I mean, it's like, what the quote what Joe said the whole movie, it's the little things that keep you sane, or these little things that like separate you from the person. So these little jokes that they try to have in there now, just to try to alleviate the mood, because this is not a happy movie.
No, this is definitely one of those movies where it feels like, what's that Casey Affleck movie that came out, Gone Girl, for example. This is actually one that's
Gone Baby Gone.
Casey Gone Affleck. Baby Gone, not Gone Girl, but yeah, Gone Baby Gone. It has that kind of element to it. But what glued me into this movie was the fact that I actually thought this was going to be like a 7 with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman kind of style, which the opening scene alone actually feels like a 7 kind of vibe to it, because you have Rami Malek's character coming in. He's a new detective, a hotshot detective. You actually see that Denzel Washington character is actually demoted from being a detective as well. And whenever Rami puts him on the case and everything, he goes, "Hey, look, I need somebody's eyes and ears that knows more than what I do. So why don't you just tag along with me and see what you can actually get?" So I definitely like that Randy is actually willing to work with a veteran into the, someone that's actually knows his police work and the style, even though his style might be a little bit different than what he is. So that's something that I really liked about that.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get that feeling. Like I said, I thought the first act of this movie was fantastic. It's got you hooked. I mean, it's got that procedural, like Denzel is the guy that he knows, like, oh, I need to look in this location over here. I found some clues over here. Like you can get that 7 feel to this. Like Denzel is the Morgan Freeman, the old grizzled vet that knows what he's looking for, that's done the job for a while. And then Rami Malek's kind of like the new up and comer. He's got a family. He's got a wife. So I mean, you could definitely sense that they're trying to do a 20th century version of 7. I mean, emphasis on the word try, but in the whole execution, again, we'll talk about it. Let's just say that's a whole different category.
Right. And you know what? I actually liked how at the very start of this, though, when they're inside that apartment area and the girl has the plastic bag over her face. And then also, too, she's also moved where the refrigerator and everything is. And then everybody's so focused in on the apartment alone to where she's actually at, rather than, okay, is the serial killer actually watching her? Or are they watching them? Watching the cops, for that matter, as well? Because, 99.9% of the time, serial killers do circle back at the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
Right. So that's also another thing Denzel was actually thinking of. Deacon was actually looking at. So he goes on ahead. He gets out of the apartment. He goes over to the to the other apartment complex, and he sets up a chair. He sees how the woman is actually facing. So it made me think at first that this guy is not into necrophiliac or anything like that. what he's trying to do is he's just trying to set up the body to where he can actually get off in his own privacy and then go about his business. That's what my first intentions were. Then also too, I also liked before he actually goes over there, before Denzel Deacon actually goes across, is he's like, did anyone dust for these fingerprints right here? Because it looks like you can get something right here. So I like the little things that matter of fact, the little things that he's actually looking at. So I definitely love that. And the name of Rami Malek's character, of course, like I mentioned before, was Jim Baxter, Sergeant Jim Baxter. So, and Jim is even taking initiative to what Deacon is actually doing as well. He has that little smirk on his face and everything. He's like, yeah, I got the right person on this case that can actually help me. Even though he got demoted, but we don't know why he got demoted in the first place and why he's actually just basically just a deputy now.
Did he get demoted or did he choose to? That's the thing. I wasn't really fully clear on. Did he really, or I think, or that he stopped doing what he did because he ended up having like the job took a big toll on him. I forgot that. Did he get demoted or did he get just choose
to? It could actually be a mental thing though too, where. Yeah, that because he probably had a couple of mental breakdowns, especially after what happened in the woods, which we're going to get to that in a few minutes as well. But you know, I think it had a lot to do with his mind and his mental state to the point where it's like, okay, either you can resign or you can choose to be just a common deputy. So he's like, look, police work is probably my life, so I'm going to go with being a deputy. I'm not going to be the detective that I once was. That's the way I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, because then he said he had multiple surgeries because of the work because I think he had a lot of heart attacks. I think his wife divorced him, and then he's like, and he doesn't see his kids because I think it's obviously whatever he did took a toll on him. So
right, because remember he even stopped at his ex-wife's house.
Yeah, he did, and just asking how the kids. And he's like, you can come on in. I'm like, I'm kind of busy. So he clearly cared more about his job than he did his family.
Right. And then also, too, she said, well, why don't you call your daughters? Because she said, he asked, how are they doing? And she said, well, why don't you go on ahead and call them? And then also, even the outside work was actually getting abused as well. Because remember, she said, yeah, well, you never had time to take care of the garden or anything else that we had. So that's why I have this guy now, because he's actually more productive than what you are, pretty much.
Yeah.
But still, I liked how they actually try to tie in the killer with Denzel Washington's killer, because that's the first instinct that went into his mind was this: the bag is over the victim's face. Then there's also placed in the same position as he saw the other victims that he had back when Denzel was actually being a detective as well. Right, when it was a homicide detective. So he was actually putting two and two together, see if these two cases actually connect. And I like that. I really enjoy that aspect of that. As long as they went somewhere with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the comment by Rami Malek was talking about, like, you've been around this town a long time, like, a lot of things have changed, and Denzel's like, or Joe's like, still got to catch him, right? Then nothing's changed. I mean, it's just like, to me, just the delivery, some of these lines, that's why Denzel is that good of an actor, because he's got that charisma, and I can definitely see that in his son, John David Washington. He's definitely got that charisma that Denzel, the other cool part is, like, when Denzel went back into that apartment, like, it's a brief Easter egg, but on the top of her wall, she had 3 ninja masks. I think I've seen those before. I think those are the 3 ninja masks from 3 Ninjas.
You see, I didn't notice that, but I did notice the No Doubt poster in the background, though. Because No Doubt was just starting out. Yeah. Okay. It's like a pink poster.
I did notice the masks, though, and I think that was a nod to 3 Ninjas, because I'm pretty sure that one came out in the 90s.
Yeah, it did. It came out in 93 or 94 or 91, somewhere around that area. Because I remember as a kid going to movie theaters.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. little note to it because that's such a great. It's a kid movie, but it's a great one.
It definitely is. But anyways, so at that point, too, if it wasn't for the person actually doing the autopsy on the victim, Denzel wouldn't have been able to get into the apartment. She said, "Look, I'm going to pull this file one more time. I'm going to pull the file one more time." So this goes to show you that she pulled the file before, but we don't know what that file contained from before. So she also put her job on the line the first time for Denzel. So they actually have a history. So I love the fact that they actually have a history together. Because even when she's inside the apartment, there's something there, some tension that's actually there between the two of them. You weren't sure if they were banging or if they were, you know, but it was just that they were just that close of a colleagues to where they invested into each other was the thing. So that's something that I really liked and respected about their relationship. So she hands him the key. He goes in. He starts looking around, puts 2 and 2 together. He even asked the landlord for the beer and the pizza that the victim had and everything. So that was actually an interesting thing, though, too, to actually think about the beer. And I didn't think about that, to be honest with you.
No. And the other interesting thing is Denzel wouldn't have been in this situation if his police chief in another state or another area didn't tell him to go to this town to pick up the shoes for this thing. And then it turns out, like I said, after Denzel did it, they said that Denzel kind of like took some leave from his job at the other city just to do what he was doing this one. That's why he went out and bought all the stuff. He took vacation days, which he very rarely does because obviously he knew something was going on with this case. I mean, and the other thing too is during the autopsy, they found like in their like digestive system, they found roast beef. So I thought that was interesting too. So that kept picking up. All right, anytime somebody's going to get food, all right, who are they giving food to? What does this restaurant offer and stuff like that? Which just kind of keeps you guessing. Which I thought, like I said, the first act kept you guessing, which kept you intrigued, which was good because they know hopefully there's a good end result.
Right, exactly. But also too, we also find out the victim's also a vegetarian. So therefore, you're wondering, okay, so this killer must have decided to go ahead and put food in her mouth that she wouldn't want to eat after she died.
Yeah.
So that was something that was interesting that we haven't seen before in a movie.
No.
And that's something that I didn't even pick up on. Then, of course, you know, as things are being played out, I liked how the police captain told Rami Malek's character is like, he turns around and he says, "What does it seem like that he's the type of person that would actually take a vacation?" And then at that point, you see him with the suit on, pretending that he's actually a detective again, and he's back at it again. And you know, I actually like whenever he goes in the appliance store, and at that point, that's when we actually get our first look at Jared Leto as the creeper. That's pretty much what I'm calling him, as a creeper, because the way he looks like a very 90s version of Manson, the Manson family. And everything you actually think of that. But you know, I definitely like the lead up to that whole entire point when all of a sudden he's just looking and observing. He's just observing Deacon, and then of course the car scene. I'm gonna let you go into the car scene and everything now.
Okay. Yeah. So eventually later on, like Denzel's getting these leads and stuff, and then he's passing that information on to Rami Malek's character. Was this before the two of them had the Rami Malek and Denzel had the meeting over the bridge and they're going over Denzel's past, or was this before or after he had the confrontation with Jared Leto? I forgot.
This is before.
So the confrontation was before.
Yeah, with the past and everything, that was before the confrontation. Okay. Wondering who it was and everything.
Yeah, because I think the two of them were having a discussion and they're going over Denzel's past of how under that bridge He knows two ladies that are laying up against a rock. Similar MO, a similar situation that they found the other girl, and then Denzel heard a voice in the forest, and then it goes back to Rami Malek and Denzel still chatting on a bridge, and then I think that's when the two of them kind of like form this little partnership that they want to get this guy, and then Denzel, like I think that's where Denzel gives Rami the list of all the people to look into, and then I think then they narrow it down to Leto's character. So then Denzel snooping at his house with the car. He's looking around, and then Jared Leto comes around with the trash.
Yeah. First is the car, though. He just looks at the car for a minute.
Oh yeah.
Remember, it's just the car.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Isn't he then following him around like everywhere?
Yeah, they're following him around everywhere after that. Like first, he's looking at the car, and he goes
trunk space.
Yeah, and this is what Jared Leto's character name is Albert, and Albert's just like looking at him, and he goes, "So you're looking at my car? Yeah, that's so. You must really like my car. And so how much is it? It's not for sale." And then goes back.
Yeah, and he's asking how's the trunk space, and then the big question was how's the trunk space?
Right. He goes, how's the trunk space? It's nice. It has very good trunk space. And then
and then he's following him around, and he's like when he's going on all these locations, he goes to a gentleman's club. I'm like, alrighty, how does he have all this money? So before all this happened, there's another girl that was like jogging with a friend of hers, and then she's like, "No, I'm fine. I just live up the block. I don't need you to walk with me." And I was like, "No, you're next."
Yep,
you're next. And then he's running up, and then she goes up, and you see this brown car drive up, and then so she's gone missing. So they're trying to find this girl. So I kept thinking, all right, he's going to a gentleman's club, and obviously he didn't seem to have a lot of money. I wonder if he put her there in that club, and he's hiding her there because they keep emphasizing the whole movie he always goes to the same club. So I kept thinking, all right, somebody must be in there. And then he's going. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Go on. Finish what you have to say. Then after that, I'll tell you the opposite of what thinking I was doing.
Yeah, and then he's like, then you see him go to this restaurant, and it looks like it had roast beef on it. And then he goes up to a bunch of prostitutes and gives them the food. So I'm guessing, okay, all the evidence seems to be pointing that he's really the guy because the roast beef, because we found roast beef in the person's throat, and then and then of course the big confrontation with the cars about how the two of them having a cat and mouse chase, driving down the street, finding him, and then Denzel sitting there, and then driving around like the whole weird cat and mouse, and then when Denzel sees him come up from behind, because that was the MO of the guy in the very beginning of the movie, stopping his car, letting you pass, and then he follows behind you. And then Denzel pulls out his 9mm, whatever pistol, like having there, and then the two of them have the big face-to-face, ask him, how's the trunk space?
Right. Okay, so my opposite direction of what you were thinking was this. I was thinking that he was just giving them the slip. Like, he knew that they were watching. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, he's not in that club. He's not in that club. He went through the back or something. He's also in janitor clothes. So like, how can he actually afford anything? By the way, the electronics store alone looks like a shabby looking place that I wouldn't even bring my grandmother to actually get a new oven or anything like that. This is like one of those places that that's a scam and a fugazi, but still, so. Of course, they're going to do business no matter what. But it makes you wonder, how does he afford to get food for these prostitutes or whatever? And the first thing that I was thinking of was St. Albert passing out roast beef to the hookers. But then again, this other woman was not a hooker, though. But he could actually be moving his way into that area, that gray area, to where he's actually trying to change things up a little bit as well. So that's a little bit of the opposite thing that I was actually thinking, was the fact that, I was thinking that maybe he actually snuck out the back door of the gentleman's club. I was not thinking that he was there the whole entire time, but then again, he's also a repairman, but he doesn't have any tools with him, so you can't actually use the excuse, oh, he must have been fixing something, because he's actually been there 2 or 3 other times when they're staking him out. So that is actually out the window. But then I also like the whole entire cat and mouse game, like you said too. It's like, how is your trunk space? And at that moment and everything, that's when they decide to do the full investigation. And I also like what Rami Malek's character says too, which, like I said, Baxter winds up telling him is this: if you have any type of mental breakdowns, if you screw me over on this case and everything, Deacon, I'm gonna have to call it quits with you and I. Because I'm already invested too much time and energy into this, and people already look up to me as is. So that's what I got out of that context. But the cat and mouse game was fantastic. I just wish that they would actually kept that up, whereas like a cat and mouse game through the whole entire movie, it would actually been great.
Yeah. And before all that happened, go ahead.
No, go on.
Okay. I was about to say, before all that happened too, you see Denzel get the hotel, and and then going back to the case information, he has up on his wall the 3 girls from his earlier time, and his obsession with all 3 of them led to like, okay, something really must have happened, especially that white girl too at the end, the one that's like that looked like it came to life, that he's staring at her the whole time. It was like something obviously must have happened, so that led to the more speculation of that, and that's what that, and then he's trying to compare what happened to those 3 to what happened and that's what led him to get more interested in the case. But his obsession was really like you knew something happened, and you're just trying to figure out, is this connected, or did he do something that really cost him the chance to solve this case?
Right. I totally get that. And not only that, but we also forgot to mention too that Denzel, whenever he sees these pictures, he sees the women actually coming like demons, pretty much coming out of those pictures of his past. And then also too, the new woman that winds up dying is also part of him now. So whoever he latches onto, that's actually becomes part of him. So I thought that was actually pretty cool to actually have a little psychological type of horror thriller kind of element to it. It didn't really throw me off of this movie having that in there. I thought it added something to that character, to be honest with you.
Just more questions. Yeah.
Right. And I also have to say this, though, too. The interrogation scene was actually really great. Because at that point, you actually see the girl from the very beginning of the film. Because here I am, 30 minutes or 40 minutes in here, I'm like, whatever happened to the girl from the very beginning? And everything that got rescued? Because I was thinking in my head that she got rescued. And I'm like, what happened to her? Has there been X amount of time since that actually happened? Because some movies give us a time frame of how long it actually was. But so that tells me that it's still in the present. It's still fresh, of course, because that's actually what happened at the very beginning of the film. So, that's something that I actually do appreciate, the fact that now they actually show us the girl. And then, of course, they wind up capturing Jared Leto's character and stuff like that. They wind up catching Albert, and they bring him in, and the look on the girl's face makes you think that maybe they might have gotten maybe the wrong guy, in a sense, because I didn't really feel like that.
They rushed that, like that sequence, like with the girl looking through the images and she's staring at it, and she was hesitant on it, but Rami Malek thought it was the guy. So I think, like I said, I think as a movie, they rushed that or rushed past that. I'm like, obviously, like, because I was trying to get us to think that, okay, we know it, we think it's him, but why did you brush that off or rush past that? Because she said, maybe you can do a lineup. And he's like, no, we got the guy.
Okay, so
But
let's go with this though. The interrogation scene and everything too was also something that was really creepy off with him though too, especially whenever
yeah,
he sees the victims coming out of the. They wind up giving him this yellow envelope. He goes,
yeah,
"What's this?"
yeah,
He goes, and I was like, "You know what that is, asshole? Just do it.
yeah.
Just open up the envelope."
Like Jared Leto's character wasn't stupid. He knew exactly what
Right.
was going on the entire time. Like he knew the whole procedure. Like it seemed like it felt like he was like he's very familiar with the system. Um, and the
Right.
other thing too we forgot to mention is early in the movie, the very first interrogation sequence with
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Stan, and because like that was Denzel was behind the screens watching it, and then the guy I think one of the guys like Denzel calls in asking about who Mary Baxter, who Mary something is, and the guy goes up to the see-through the glass that from Denzel's on the other side, because obviously then because that was the question of the time, who is this girl? Because that's who Denzel, because that guy Denzel like broke his jaw, and then eventually he kills himself by putting a shotgun in his mouth and shoots himself. That was their first topic. So that's the led to more questions about what really happened to this girl. I think Mary something that was
Yeah,
very when Denzel was the episode. That was more. Just we're getting more questions. We're not really getting many answers.
exactly. And then, of course, I actually liked how he's actually taking out the pictures and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, so he starts just taking out the pictures, just like casually.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, now this one,
Yeah.
I've seen this one before. She looks very familiar. Yeah, I think I've seen her before. And puts it down. And at that point, Denzel just wants to go and rip him a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, especially when he goes in the interrogation room and just puts him up against the wall.
Yeah. Like you knew he was gonna lay him out, but he kept punching the wall on
Right,
purpose.
exactly. But okay, so you were wondering about the whole scene. That's one scene where it was rushed. I feel like police work, in a sense, is like that, where it's like, okay, we don't
Okay.
need to do a lineup. We don't need to do
Yeah.
that. We already have our guy. The detective already made up his mind that this is the
Mm-hmm.
guy. There's no changing it. So that's what my perspective was. It was in the line
Yeah.
of the police work rather than
Yeah.
something within the script. I really feel like some police officers are like, you know what, we got this guy. We don't need to do a lineup anymore or anything like that. This is our
Mm-hmm.
suspect. This is who we're zeroing in on now. We don't need to go on ahead and get any other suspects. We need to go on ahead and tail this guy, get our perp, and make the arrest.
But also kind of led to that whole bias too, because now like when you watch the movie, you see what happens, and then it's like the girl was hesitant that it might have been him, might not have been,
Mm-hmm.
but Rami didn't really want to listen, and then he
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to kind of brushed her off a little bit, like in a sense that they already knew it was this guy, but is it really the guy? I mean, all the evidence
Right.
keeps pointed towards him, but like the any slight hesitation can be like again these little things. The girl's hesitation that they brush off that could have that was kind of a key that maybe might have been it. I mean, like there's some of the stuff that you just gotta pick up on, but again, I don't know. I just thought that sequence was a little weird because again, just being that we've seen the movie and what really happened,
Right.
it kind of could change some stuff.
Right. I can get that.
Yeah.
I can hear a little bit of echo.
Okay.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me try something. Okay. No. Okay. I think we got it.
Okay.
Nope.
Oh.
Ugh, hold on. It's a little bit of technical issue. I think we got it this time.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, we're good. So you were mentioning the trash earlier, though, too, when Denzel went on ahead and got the trash out of
Oh
his
no, I didn't
brother.
mention the trash. I just mentioned Rami. Jared Leto was bringing down the trash because I think he picked up the trash like when he was investigating the car. So that was like
Okay. Just
that was a
making sure
while
that they're
ago.
not overlapping. Okay.
No, I don't think
So
so. No.
okay, so then after we wind up seeing the interrogation and everything, then we actually see them do the stakeout. Now the stakeout was the most interesting thing about this thing as well. And I feel like this is what I was most invested in was the stakeouts and everything too.
Yeah.
And I liked how it's actually real police work. You actually feel like you're on the case with them. You really do feel like you're invested into the stakeout just like they are. He goes to the
Yeah.
gentleman's club. He stays there all the way up until night. Then after that, he goes to bed.
Yeah.
And at that point, Rami Malek's character is over there punching the window, being pissed off because he don't have anything on him.
Yeah.
You know?
We also
That's
forgot
when
too the part where after where Denzel wanted to get into the house. He wanted to get like a couple 5 minutes in the house, and then
I thought that was actually part of the. I thought the stakeout was before that though. I thought that was when
I
they're
lost
watching
track.
him.
I think it all there's so many stakeouts, so many going in the houses,
Right.
kind of like yeah.
Okay, let's do this. So after that winds up happening, the next day they're watching him, and Denzel's like, "I need to get into that house."
Yeah.
He goes, "But we don't have enough to actually go on to have a warrant." Well, I just need 5 minutes. I just need 5 minutes in there, and get what I need.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, I'll let you go on ahead.
Twice. Because he said because I think the first 5 minutes he goes in there. Rami Malek he calls up, "Hey, can you meet me at this bar?" Which was ironic
that was
because
after the interrogation.
Yeah, it was like I forgot he was supposed to go to the bar to meet up with Rami Malek, to meet up with Jared Leto, and he didn't, and that's what led to the suspicious thing. So Denzel goes in the house, he's looking for stuff. He notices a crevice on the floor. He opens up and you see this box. And then right after that, then you hear you see a loud noise, and that made Denzel's jump. That's because the reason Jared Leto's character knew all about the stuff about police procedure is because he actually had a police scanner radio in his house. So it kind of leads to the suspicion that Jared Leto knows what was going on the whole time. He's not an idiot. He knows police procedure, and he calls in a fake agent down or a cop down. He calls in a 999, and essentially, which allows
he called in 2 officers down in the apartment.
Yeah, and then that's when you see Denzel try to him in the 60s climbing out of a house, down a house, and then all that kinds of stuff. And that's when you can see his age.
Yeah, definitely, because he's on top of a roof trying to go down into the alley and everything. I thought that was actually pretty funny. Actually trying to see a 60-year-old man go up on a roof and climbing down into the alley.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually pretty funny. But remember in the interrogation room, this is what Albert said. He goes, I'm a big crime investigations person. I like following crime investigations. So with the police scanner, that even shows even more as well into that, like you mentioned. Then at that time and everything, Detective Baxter, Rami Malek's character, winds up saying, "So did you get what you need?" He goes, "I need a little bit more time in that house to get what I need."
Yeah. And this is all around the time, I think, right when the captain told him, "All right, you got this weekend to figure this out. Now the FBI is coming down here and taking over."
Right.
So that's
But you know what I thought that was funny though? I thought that I thought Jared Leto, Albert, would actually call his own apartment and and Denzel would actually answer the phone because he probably wouldn't know that Denzel's in his house. So I'm glad that it was like the reverse effect where he just calls in a dispatch and everything that 2 officers are dead. He goes, in matter of fact, he actually orders that Shirley Temple as well to go, which I thought was actually funny. Yeah. And then of course, then it's the next night.
Yeah.
After you mentioned everything else about the FBI, about everything else, that's when we actually see the fact that Rami Malek, Detective Baxter is in the car. They're doing the stakeout. Denzel wants to get a new battery for his watch. And then while he's inside the electronics store, also too, he's also picking up coffee for Baxter as well. And then of course that's also too when Albert calls Rami Malek through a payphone, or when the payphone starts ringing.
Yeah. He's not on the other side. He just scares him.
Yeah,
like he knows they've been watching him for like a couple days.
And then he's like, "Hey, what? Do you want to take a ride with me?" It was, I promise, I won't fight.
Like, you're a cop. I mean, you should wait, like, because he was trying to wait, like, oh, Denzel's not invited. But you let him, you ride in the same car with the guy you suspected for murder. You get in the same car. It would have been better if he was in the other car and follow him. I mean, this was not a bright move.
No, like, it wasn't.
Yeah. Like I said, the whole time I kept thinking of Seven, and I kept thinking whoever the killer is, he's gonna target Baxter's family, like the mom, like his wife, and the two girls. I kept thinking something bad was gonna happen to his family. That's why I was like, "Don't get in that car." And then luckily he waited enough for Denzel to follow behind, and Denzel was really good at doing that because Denzel knows how to follow people.
Right. Well, another thing though too was I was actually thinking on the same lines as you were, and everything. Especially whenever he says, "So, how's your wife? I know that you have a wife and a daughter."
You shouldn't be in the papers because now your family's in the papers.
That's something you just don't want to do. And then next thing you know it, that was something that I was thinking was maybe he's trying to bring them to where their bodies are.
His family, yeah.
Yeah, that's the girls. Thing.
I don't know. I kept thinking, I'm like, all right, this has got like a 7 feel right over to it. Like something was gonna happen. Like he's gonna find something. So I was expecting like that type of payoff when he goes to this abandoned dirt area. And like, and then you knew he wasn't going to intentionally kept the door unlocked for Denzel because he knew he was following behind the whole time. But it was weird. It's just when after they go through, just how weird Denzel is just driving around the location. I was like, because if he was there sooner, what we've got might not have happened.
Right. And I was also on the edge of my seat. I'm like, this is not good. You should not be inside that same car, Baxter. You should not be in the same car with him. You don't need to be there. And I'm like, I'm hoping that Deacon will go ahead and come out of that place, out of the electronics store, fast enough to where he actually realizes that his partner is not even there, and follow them. And as a matter of fact, he does follow them.
Yeah.
Right. But you remember, though, he does lose track of them. He doesn't know.
Bit, yeah.
Yeah, on the interstate, he's like, I don't know which exit to get off of. But if I was a killer, which exit would I actually get off of? You can tell that's the angle that he was actually working because of the way that he was actually looking at the signs. But he turns off on the same exit that Jared Leto was. But he does wind up passing the fence and everything where Jared Leto is the first go round. Matter of fact, let me just paint the picture for you guys. Okay, it's a dark desert road. It's a dark country road, as a matter of fact. And the only thing that you can see is like a steel gate. And he wants Rami Malek's character, Jared Leto's character, Albert, wants Detective Baxter to open up that metal gate to allow them inside. So the first initial thought was he's going to run him over. Even though he has a gun in his hand, and Albert does mention the fact, he goes, well, if I go ahead and everything, if you go ahead, you have an upper hand in this. You have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another thing. But, Rami Malek winds up opening up the gate. They go inside, but he does not lock the gate, which was a smart move on his part. to actually show a sign that they're in there, because he knows that Deke is actually right behind them. So I actually did appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then as they're driving through this long dirt road into the access of the gate, you're wondering, okay, where are they going to stop at? Where does this road, this part actually end? This driveway end? And then finally they stop, and then all of a sudden Albert's like, well, we gotta dig. And I'm gonna let you go on ahead and go into that detail.
Okay, so essentially, like, Baxter's asking, all right, where? And then, so Jared Leto's screwing with him, honestly, telling him, like, okay, you're colder, warmer. And then when Baxter starts digging, and then halfway through the dig, once you can see the empty, he's like, actually, no, it wasn't there. It was further down the other way. And anytime you keep seeing him dig, he's bent over so you can see his gun in his backside, and how unhandcuffed Jared Leto's character was. I kept expecting him to pull that gun and shoot him. Like, seriously. Like, I mean, if he's your perp, you're an officer, you have handcuffs. Put the handcuffs on him so he can't, like, easily pull the gun from your backside. And then, so periodically, he's like, oh, no, actually, no, I now I remember. It wasn't there. It's there. So essentially, he's kind of like getting Baxter to get pissed off at him that he might do something stupid. And then, I mean, I think that's pretty much that point. I mean, like, he's just digging around, and then at some point, Jared Leto is getting right under his skin, mention his family, and all of a sudden, whack! Baxter whacks Jared Leto in the face with the shovel, and Jared Leto's character's not moving. And Baxter's trying to wake him up, and this is when Deke shows up.
Right. Yeah. And you know how you thought that he was actually going to pull a gun? Oh, shoot. Give me 1 second.
Okay. So going on John Point, like I said, there's various moments in this that you think Jared Leto is going to pull the gun from his backside and shoot him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm back. We had a little technical problem. So anyways, what I had thought was this. I thought that someone was going to get hit with the shovel.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, number one, he was going to make Jared Leto's character dig.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to have the gun pointed to him, and then he was going to hit him with the shovel. And once again, I'm actually fooled and everything. Instead, Rami Malek was the one who Baxter winds up hitting him, Albert, in the face with the shovel instead. And of course, he winds up dying. He's laying on the ground. Denzel pulls up, and you can definitely tell that the first glimpse of Rami Malek's character was like, oh my God, I killed him. My whole entire career is over with as a police officer. As we know it. But Denzel's like, no, don't worry about it. We're going to fix this. We're going to take care of this. Make sure you bury him, make a hole for him, and I'll be back in a couple of hours. So he goes back over to Jared Leto's character's house and starts getting all the clothes that he has, his car, piles them up, takes them, and then after that, he winds up giving the car to somebody.
Yeah.
He ends up throwing the keys to somebody, and then next thing you know it, Deacon's actually back over there to see Baxter, and then we actually see Baxter actually digging still constantly, trying to find some proof that he's actually the killer.
That was really him, Jared Leto. And there's also that box too. There's like glyph at the box that he finds. He doesn't open it. And then and before Denzel gets out of the car, that you go back to the flashback. We're wondering what happened to that one girl. It turns out the one girl was in the forest. Denzel shoots and kills her. So that third girl everybody thought was the killer. Surprise! Denzel killed her. And that's what led the whole thing of them covering it up, saying we're just going to say it's a strangulation. So that's the big twist.
Well,
Denzel killed.
multiple stab wounds is what she said, though.
Yeah, multiple stab wounds. Yeah, but no, it was really a bullet shot from Denzel's gun as him as a homicide guy. So he was the killer of that one girl. Twist.
And then, and then of course he tells the detective, he goes, look, you're not going to mention Albert's name. You're not going to know who Albert is. Albert is gone. That's it.
Mm-hmm. You're going to take a break from the force.
Right.
You're going to take a vacation. Mm-hmm. And then pretty much just like take a break from this, and then you see the FBI show up. They're gonna, all right, this is our guy. This guy here, like the Jared Leto's character. We're gonna go find him, and that speaking because everybody keeps thinking Jared Leto was the killer. Right. Obviously he wasn't the killer. He was just screwing around with the police because, well, his character fit the MO, and everybody like just immediately jumped on all the things that everybody kept saying. That's why I have emphasis on the little girl hesitant on his face, because obviously they're trying to get the implication that he was not the killer. Everybody was assuming he was the killer. So we got a killer still on the loose, no girl. That Rami Malek said he was going to find this girl and bring her home. Where is she? We're not going to show. And then we get to the big revelation. So anyway, did you want to cover this, John, or you want me to go through it?
Well, I'll do this one. Okay. This is actually where Denzel is over back at his house. He's burning all of Albert's clothes. He's burning every single thing that connects to Albert to make it look like that he's actually on the run from the cops, to make it appear that he's actually alive. It's kind of like the mob, right? When they kill somebody, it's like, oh, he's dead. He's gone, but he's not really dead. And everything. They know, but they don't know, kind of thing. So that's actually how I actually felt about that, was him actually pretending that Albert's character is actually alive still. And as a matter of fact, it even goes into details saying, okay, well, this guy changes locations every single day. This is what the police captain says. He changes locations every single day. We're looking for a guy like that. We're looking for a guy that's really creepy, 6'2", and also at 152 pounds, just exaggerating on that and everything. And then, of course, it goes into Rami Malek's character Baxter, where he winds up near the where he's sitting near the swimming pool. His wife answers the door. She has a little small envelope. And
John, before we get to that, I want to mention this is a key detail. When Rami Malek met with the daughter's family, this is a key element that we're gonna mention. That the parents said she always wore a red beret on her hair to keep her while she was running. Okay, This is key to what we're gonna just mention right now. All right, go ahead, John.
Well, okay, so Rami Malek's wife takes it over to Baxter. Baxter opens it, and lo and behold, there's a red beret that was holding the girl's hair to insinuate the fact that the girl is still alive.
Yeah, so, the girl's alive, and Jared Leto was the killer. Everything's happy, and it's going to look the part. Not the case. We go back to. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go on ahead. I'll let you finish up.
All right. We go back to Denzel throwing away stuff in the dumpster. Then we go to this big military box. Big box, the big key that all along was the big thing. You open it's empty. There is nothing in this box to prove he did anything. And if you're wondering, oh, where'd you get that red beret? Like, I thought they found it. Denzel apparently bought it at a general store. He bought a set of hair clips, one that had a red beret, and you see the area where it says the red beret, color red. was missing. Denzel intentionally covered up what just happened because he didn't want Rami Malek to go fall down the same situation that he did when he shot the girl. So the red beret was a dupe. It was fake.
Right.
So
and also too, he also covered up evidence just like the person who did the ultrasound on the victim did for him. So he's doing for the detective as well, and for Baxter. So so let's go on ahead and go into our final thoughts on it. So going into this thing,
essentially, there's for the final and the ending, we got, and that's how the movie ends. Denzel walks into the house with the dog. So again, no closure. We don't know who the killer is. Girl's still missing. There's another killer out there that's still doing it. We have more questions and answers. We just get a lot of what did I just watch? What just happened? I'm so and a lot of people saying I'm so glad I didn't spend money on this in the theaters.
Right. So my initial thoughts is this, okay? I know I said this at the very beginning, and I said this on my very first Conjuring review and Conjuring 2 review. I'm okay with a slow burn type of movie and a slow tense kind of movie as long as you release that tension. As long as that tension is released and it's actually built up for that reason. So imagine this. You're holding your breath through this whole entire movie and waiting for that tension to actually be released. Then you get to the ending. It's like there's no release. There's nothing there at all. Nothing but still, just disappointment that you spent 2.5 hours of your life that you can't get back again. And then on top of that, it sends a message, though, too, that's saying that the police departments don't always get the killer. The police officers sometimes don't get the killer, nor do they ever get the killer right from the get-go either. So that's the message that it's actually trying to actually give us, is saying that they don't catch the criminals all the time, and they also don't get the right criminal all the time either. So that's the message I actually got from it. I was disappointed with the way it actually ended. I was invested into this thing since the very beginning of this film. I was really thinking that this was more of a 7 kind of vibe to it. I was thinking maybe he's going to wind up digging his own wife up, his own kids up with the shovel. Nothing. It's just a big old pile of cow dung by the end of this. Because that's actually how I feel. So what's your initial thoughts?
I hated it. I mean, the movie had a lot of potential. The first act of it was great. Second act dragged on a little bit, but I was still intrigued, still guessing, still that. Then the third act happened, and I was pissed. Because honestly, I'm like, I invested all this time into it, and I always like movies with closure, with the bad guy getting it in the end, nobody getting away with it, like people getting what they deserved. I got none of that from this movie. Like, this was just like, this is like a cop-out ending. It was like a bad ending. I'm like, seriously? Like, I got so many questions and you didn't answer any single one of these questions. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, come on. I'm like this, like I said, I was angry. I was like, what the heck? I'm like, what a way to start off 2021 with this stinker. Like, I mean, the performances were okay. I mean, Denzel was great. I mean, the script was bad. Like, I mean, I thought it was a bad script. I thought a lot of stuff was like, and I thought Malik was decent. I mean, but then again, to have these 3 guys as your main point, and then you don't even see Jared Leto until like halfway through the movie. So I'm like, you're promoting him in this movie. He's not even in it that long. Maybe like 30, 45 minutes. The whole movie is just mainly about Rami Malek and Jared Leto. And this is just another situation where if you have it doesn't matter if you have all these good actors in it, it's the script and the plot and what happens in it. I mean, I've seen many movies with so many good actors in it and it sucked because I had high hopes and I was intrigued with this movie. I'm glad I didn't pay money to see this because I would have been pissed. But this ending. Okay.
I do feel like Jared Leto's character was underutilized because the thing is, when you have an all-star cast like this, you want to utilize them for the best that they have. With this one, there, Jared Leto's character was actually underutilized. I'm going to be honest with you. He didn't have the
Yeah.
strongest development, and whenever they could actually use
No.
him for his full potential.
No, and like this overall, I was very disappointed because that ending sucked. And like I said, I mean that's why I mean this is one of my worst movies of 2021, and it's number one right now. And it would be it's going to take something to. I mean, then again, I just watched Outside the Wire, and that was terrible too. I mean, if you want to talk about a bad script writing, I'll get into it on that one. But this one was
Matter of
just.
fact, we'll talk about that because I do want to do a review on that.
Oh yeah, I'll be back for that. I got a lot of things to say about that one. That was, but no, again in this one, I was disappointed because you had me hooked in, and then just to essentially like slap me in the face, saying that, "Ha ha, we got you." Like, I'm like, this is what I get for investing my time into something I think was going to be good or somewhat decent, and then I got crap. I mean, just to have that dupe ending, I'm like, that ending was like probably one of the worst endings I've seen in a long time. And what a way to start out 2021. God, HBO Max, you're 0 for 1 right now.
What do you rate this film?
I gave it a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10?
I gave it
what about a
5 out of
5 scale?
Oh, 5 scale? Probably about a 2 out of 5.
Okay. For me, I'm going to go a bit higher and just go with a 3. For the simple fact was, I was satisfied with the runtime. I was satisfied with all that. It was the release of the ending that made me score it at a 3. As long as you have me invested all that time and me guessing what's happening in this movie, you're going to get a good score from me. Unless, of course, the ending winds up falling to pieces, which this one did. Because at first I was thinking, okay, this movie might actually be scored a little bit higher and everything. And then all of a sudden that ending happened. I'm like, okay, my score is now going to go from whatever number it was down to a 3 now. Because my anticipation level was really good. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't give it higher than a 2. Just that ending for me, it was just very... I mean, the performances can do yeah, you can have like the best actor in the world, but if it's the script that's just terrible, and then the poor execution of said script, and the poor execution of the end is like, I mean, if you have a really bad ending, it's gonna be a very low score for me. I mean, like, and like I said, I mean, I stopped doing my stuff out of 5 because I just want to. I do my stuff out of 10 because it's easier, so I can easily give easier. I mean, I gave that a 5 out of 10. I mean, I was even tempted to give it a 3 out of 10. Like, I mean, that ending was just awful.
Okay. Let's see. My final thoughts is this. If you guys did want to see this movie, go ahead and check this out for yourselves. Don't just go by what we're saying or anything like that. Voice your own opinion about what you think of this movie and tell us what you think in the comment section. Another thing, though, too, that I want to mention is this. Right now, there's 3 movies that are part of 2021 that I felt disappointed with. Outside the Wire, Wonder Woman 1984, and now this. So that's 3 films that I was really disappointed with. But you already got my initial thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984, which you can actually check out on the video side of things and also on the audio side of things as well. So check out the spoiler reviews for that. But we'll talk about Outside the Wire later on. But as far as letdowns and everything, those are the 3 movies that have let me down so far.
So another thing is, like, if you want to see this movie, it's fine. I think I would highly recommend not paying money for this in theaters. Don't risk it with COVID. Don't risk it. Like, my buddy, he just watched it, and he was planning on going to the theaters, and his cat smacked the keys out of his hand. Like, his cat knew that this movie was going to be bad, and let alone the cat was right. This movie was this bad. So if you're going to see it, but do it at home. Like, this is a typical January movie that would come out at this time where theaters aren't doing that big business anyway. If you can watch it,
No, finish up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, this is my, like, I've seen 2 movies in 21. I had Wonder Woman in 2020 since it came out in 2020. That's when I put it on. My two movies so far have been a Netflix movie, Outside the Wire, and this one. And HBO Max, their next movie after I think February 12th, you get the live action version of Tom and Jerry. I'm not watching that. That looks terrible. And I think HBO Max is about to go 0-2.
Right now they're
On that
2-2. Yeah, they're 0-2 for me right now, as far as things go.
I didn't see the Anne Hathaway Chatta Etoile movie Lockdown. Didn't look entertaining, so I wasn't gonna invest my time. But if I watch Tom and Jerry, I'm gonna hate it because it looks. They should have just kept it as a cartoon. You don't need to make stop making everything live action. Nobody wants that live action.
Right. Alrighty, so that's gonna do it for the show for tonight and everything. I hope that everybody enjoyed this segment and everything, this review. If you guys can, go on ahead, show us some love. How do you do that? I'm glad that you guys asked. Just go on ahead, give us a thumbs up and everything on our video. Not only that, but if you wanted to, go on ahead, share this with everybody amongst your friends. Tell everybody about Movie Lovers Unite. Another thing too is, if you guys want to, you guys don't have to. Go on ahead, go to the GoFundMe page below. Show us some love by donating some money towards us and everything. This is just to go ahead and get ourselves some better sound equipment, some better audio, just to get things a little bit more professional and everything too. But it's just to keep the lights on. Another thing too, guys, is if you want to go to www.movieloversunite.com for all your entertainment needs and wants, go ahead and check that out over there. Then, of course, you can follow me at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook. Then also too, Movie Lovers Unite and TV Lovers Unite on Instagram. Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Pinterest as well. And then of course you can follow me on Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter. And then of course John B. Gordio 8 on Twitter. Now here's the thing: Thursday night, Frenchie and I are actually going to be doing trailers versus movies. It's going to be on the Speaker app at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Make sure you check that out. It's going to be a live event. It's just going to be audio only, but it's a good way for us to actually interact with our fans as well. So go ahead and check us out over there. And then, of course, Monday through Friday, we actually release trailers. And, of course, we took maybe a little bit of a time off or whatever doing the trailer reviews and stuff like that, trailer reactions. But Monday through Friday, we normally do Neighbors Watching Trailers. This is actually where Frenchie and I react to certain trailers, and then we give you your initial thoughts on it, and then we also rate our level of excitement for that trailer. So check that out when you guys can. We also have some of those videos actually uploaded onto our YouTube channel. And always, until next time, guys, it's been fun and it's been great. Thank you for joining me, Charlie, as always. And bye-bye.
Bye.